quantity of active, beneficial constituents, and that it is free of contaminants and adulterations. Because at doTERRA, we know the same care and attention, as well as the same commitment to only provide the very best, is not unique to us. They're the same qualities you employ when taking care of those you love the most.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our TVE Global webinar. See, we've got a few of you on here this evening. I know the numbers will start to build as we go through in the next few minutes, no doubt. So, welcome, like I said, to our TVE Global webinar. We've got a great evening lined up for you as always. Lots of things for you to be training on, and obviously make sure you've got your pen and paper handy as well. Now, as always, as we always do at the start of this presentation, let's start off and do some recognition. Just bear with me for 1 second while I bring the slides up. Okay. So let's start off and see how people are doing. There's some fantastic recruitment going on throughout the month of February. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. So February enrollments month to date so far, we have on 4 people recruited, either wellness advocates or of course wholesale customers, Peter Ria and Kirsty Lucius. So congratulations to both of you. With 5, we've got Annette Ahido. With 6 people recruited so far in February, brilliant going for Vicky Gotham, Neil Young, and of course Lisa Burke. And that's with the month going out a week or so out in Spain as well, so it shows you what could be done. But what an amazing month so far with Michael Snyder, who's got 17 new people recruited so far in February, which is pretty amazing going. Now, just to remind you of some events that are coming up as well. We've got Elise Sedavi coming over from the United States. Elise is in our upline. Everybody on here, she's in our upline. Like I said, she's from the United States. She's come to the London area from the 19th to the 21st of March. That's over 3 days around the Heathrow area. And as you say, she's got 3 days of intensive training, really going to a back to basics training as well. I guess a little bit what some of tonight's going to be about as well, but you're going to get 3 days worth here, and this is with a doTERRA triple diamond. So there is a URL there at the bottom, okay, which is the shortest we could get it because it's an Eventbrite link. But saying that, if you want to go and find this particular event, just Google Elise Sedavi doTERRA event on Eventbrite, and you will get the link as well. Of course, we have a reminder, I know I mention it every week now, but the doTERRA European Convention on the 8th and 9th of May. We've got quite a few in the team going over as well. It's going to be an absolutely fantastic weekend. We're staying over there. We've extended. We've got about 5 or 6 days out there. I know many other people are doing that, but prices are going up, and prices are certainly going up for flights. So make sure, even if you've booked your residents over there, make sure you don't leave the flights too long, because they are certainly starting to move up as well. So also this week, of course, we've got our online classes for those in the doTERRA Elite Club, and also for those people in the Very Essence group. We've got on tomorrow at 7 p.m. On the 25th of February, Thursday the 27th of February at 11 a.m. and the 29th of February at midday. All times, of course, are GMT, and you can log on to these from 20 minutes before the event. These are ideal if you've got somebody who and particularly if you're new, but whether you're new or you've been around for a while, if you've got somebody that you want to really, explain the business to, how it works, how will the oils work, and what benefits you can see out of that. What could be better than going to an event like this? So just pass on the address learntheessentials.info to them and let them know obviously they can log in 20 minutes before the event. So that's pretty much it from my part this evening. Well, I say this evening, I'll probably be back towards the end. But we've got a fantastic training lined up with Lisa. Lisa's, obviously you saw the promo today talking about hosted classes. I know no more about it apart from that. So I'll pass you over to the wonderful Lisa Burke. Are you there, Lisa? Have you not clicked? Can you not unclick yourself? Really? Let's see what we can do over this side.
Let me do it.
I think it's your end. But anyway, you're on anyway. Can you hear us?
You've unmuted me now.
Yeah, you're unmuted.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Perfect. There I was thinking we were going to have technical issues again, even though I'm now back on UK soil. So no, great. Okay, so let me just put my presentation on. Okay, brilliant. Great to be back. So yeah, before I start the training, I've got a little bit of recognition that I want to do, added on to Andy's, something that's just come to my attention today. And I'm really, really proud of this lady. She's on the call and I'm sure you'll all congratulate her with me. As you know, we've got Diamond Club running, started to run this month. And so a few people in the group are taking part in the fabulous Diamond Club. But we've got a very special lady in Germany that has appeared on the first league tables. So when you're in Diamond Club, you get points given for enrolment in your group, enrollees in your group that come in through the Diamond Club portal, and then you get points for LRPs and all sorts of things. But she hasn't just hit the league table, she's actually in second position. So I'm going to just put the league table up so that you can see it. Here we are, and we've got Saskia, who you can see is on 41 points there in Germany, and Saskia's in our group, and we're really proud of you, Saskia. So please all just pop in the chat some congratulations to Saskia, because she's done a fabulous job there. I'm sure going to keep well up in those league tables. I'm just going to, I can't see my chat at the moment. Here we go. There you go. You're getting some love in there, Saskia. So, oh, she says, thank you. She now has many more points. Oh, wow. What are you at now, Saskia? Are you on? I don't know whether she can unmute herself to tell her. Okay, well, she now has many more, so that's great. Okay, so as you've seen the promo for this evening, I really wanted to talk to you about online classes. Sorry, not online classes, offline classes. Many of you have been probably seeing the Back to Basics training with Elise Chedevy, and many of you, I'm sure, are going to it. And there's been lots and lots of talk about this. I'm hearing such great feedback from people. And so I was looking through some of her training materials, and one thing that really struck me was that there's a lot of talk in the Back to Basics about classes, obviously, and there's a lot of talk about sampling. And it may be when we go for the 3 days training, there'll also be a lot of talk about hosted classes, but there didn't seem to be within the training materials as much. So I just wanted to dedicate tonight's training to talk a little bit more specifically just about hosted classes, because this is an area that I think is one of the strongest ways that we can build our business offline, by encouraging people to host classes for us, along with us, of course, doing classes of our own in our own home and in places that we go to, but to actually get people to partner with us as hosts to put on events and invite us along to present the oils, to present the class, but for them to take responsibility as the host for bringing the people together. It's a great way in which we can make the most of our time, because we're not having to be the organizer, we can just be the presenter, and this will give us the opportunity to really multiply our results many times over. And it also gives us the opportunity to have both a local business and also a global business through having hosts sort of on our doorstep. This is a great way to take us to a sort of a more global level, because we'll meet people that know people in other areas, in other countries, through first of all sort of stay local activity. So some of you may have seen this part, or may have seen a circle in Elise Shedavi's training, where she talks about how to build a business effectively through sampling. And so I've sort of used this template and want to show you how to effectively build your business, but through hosted classes. So this just shows, if you were to talk to 20 people about hosting a class, the numbers tell us, and of course it depends whether you're talking to your warm market or whether you're talking to less warm people, or you know, you may have advertised classes, but typically if you've gone to people that you know and asked them to host a class for you, the chances are, the numbers show us that you'll get about 4 people that will agree to host a class, will agree to just get a few people together for you to sample the oils to and tell them a little bit about these amazing gifts of the earth. From 4 classes, the numbers tell us that you, as long as you coach these classes well, and I'm going to be talking about this as well this evening, but if you coach them well and look after your hosts well, that you will get on average about 6 people that will attend these classes. So we're now at 24 people that are being exposed to your information. Then everyone has their own averages when it comes to enrolling, and they go somewhere between 30% to 80% or more. So that's how many people enroll compared to those that the percentage of people enroll that you expose to a class or to an essential oil experience. So I'm just going somewhere in the middle and saying, well, what if 50% of those people that attended that class enrolled? And on average, we know some will buy a home essentials, and some will buy a family essentials, and some will buy the membership and some odd oils. So we're working on a basis of an average of 150 PV per enrolment. And when that happens, you will be making around about, from those 4 classes, £270. This is obviously before we've got people on LRP and we've got the recurring and the residual income coming from this. This is just purely on the profit of those enrolments, as with you as the enroller. So that in itself is a very profitable way. When you work it out per hour, a couple of hours to do the class, you'll be making £67.50 per class. But of course, there's a lot more that comes from this other than just the profit from these enrolments. You will then book, and I suggest, if you can, to book the wellness consultation at the class. When somebody enrolls with you, you actually make that booking, and you make the wellness consultation always part of the package. That's something, you know, don't ever devalue yourself. Don't ever devalue that wellness consultation, because people are getting your time. They're going to get another maybe hour of your time free. It's actually part of the membership, part of one of the membership benefits, that they get a one-to-one with you after they've become a member, to go through the oils again, make sure that they can get the best out of their account. So again, on just working on averages, if you do that, if you book that wellness consultation at the class and you follow it through properly, then you'll be looking at about 4 of those 12 people that enroll that will join you in the LRP program. And let's say they on average put in 100 PV order, then obviously that's 400 PV residual coming in from those. Then if one of them becomes a sharer or a builder, again, just sort of working on average numbers here, one or build. So let's just have a look at why this makes sense. If you were doing this every month, so if you were presenting at 4 hosted classes a month, so that's just 1 a week, so it's not, you know, we're not being over adventurous or sort of putting sort of big numbers here that are not achievable. It's just 1 a week. So in the month, you would have 1,800 PV come in from those 4 hosted classes on average. In month 2, if you did the same again, you did 4 more hosted classes, 1 a week. Of course, now the 4 that you did the month before, you've got some residual monies coming in from the LRPs from those people. So we've said 1 sharer and 4 customers at 100 PV each. That's 500 PV. So 500 plus your 1,800 from your month 2 brings you in month 2, 2,300. If your builder in month 2 also gets going with doing a couple of classes, couple of hosted classes themselves, and they bring in 900 PV, you can see on this simple wheel that actually makes you elite in your 2nd month. In your 2nd month, your income would be £420 and you would be looking at approximately 20 hours a month. So this is really powerful. This is a skill that if you can dedicate some time and some energy to learn about hosted classes and to learn how to get the classes, coach the classes, and be, you know, really good at booking classes from classes, which I'm going to talk to you a little bit about as well this evening, then this is really well worth you know, adding that to your business, whether you are doing an online business, an offline business, whatever you're doing. But if hosted classes is something that you haven't really been paying much attention to, that's really what my goal this evening is, to get you sort of interested enough to really visit this as being a part of your business. So how do you do it? So hopefully I've convinced you enough to want to listen a little bit further. So how do we do this? Well, first of all, it's like everything in life, it starts with commitment. So you need firstly to commit to a number, commit to, you know, obviously I've just shown you what can be achieved by the number being 4 a month. Maybe you want to go faster than that. Maybe you'd like your number to be 8 a month. Maybe 4 a month doesn't fit with your personal situation and it's only 2 a month. Whatever the number is, that actually isn't that important. What's more important is committing to that number and doing what it takes to achieve that number. And they are just, numbers are just what, you know, what they are. They're just a function of a calculation. You know, you'll get your own numbers. So it may be that you need to talk to 50 people to get 4, or it may be that you're 20 to get 4. Whatever your numbers are your numbers, but you just have to commit to them and go through the stages and the steps to get the results, and just keep on keeping on. So it goes back to the list. So many things in doTERRA start with your list. They start with your list and they come back to your list. So go back to your list. Obviously now you're looking on that list for more sort of local people, because this is an offline activity. You need to travel. Of course, there may be friends and family members that are not local that you want to offer to come and do a hosted class, or you might want to be asking them to do you a favour to hold a hosted class, which is fine. But just also remember, if you're doing the travelling, then you've not got too much duplication opportunity there, because you may help someone because, you know, they're best friend and it's a good excuse to go and, you know, have a visit, but you can't keep going back there every week to sort of follow up on more classes. So the more you can keep local, the more this part of your business will be successful. Ask for help, and what I mean by that is people actually like to help people, I find, and sometimes we don't ask for help enough. Sometimes we're you know, feel a little bit conscious of asking people to help us, and we feel like we're the ones that need to help everyone else. And of course we do help people, that's what we do. You know, our oils, our products, everything we do in our business is about helping people. But there are sometimes moments that we have to ask people to help us in order to be able to help enough other people. So, you know, get your words that you feel comfortable with, but ask for help. You know, I need your help. I'm starting a new business, or I'm starting a new part to my business. I'm opening up a new area where I'm looking to bring my products into people's homes. I just wondered, will you be able to help me just get a few friends around in the next couple of weeks, and so I can sample my oils and tell them all about it and have a little practice. You know, if you're new, again, people like to help people when they're in a new stage of their business, and if you position it that you're looking for people that will help you practice on them, then it takes a little bit of the pressure off of them as well, because they feel like, oh, I haven't got to get loads of people, you know, I'm just helping Sue out, and just getting a few friends round so that you can have a practice. So don't feel scared about asking for help. This isn't where you go when you've got a drink problem. This AAAA, it's just a little code that I use for anytime, anywhere, always ask. So, you know, put yourself in situations where you can meet lots of people locally, look for local groups, local places that you can go, and then chat to people. And again, ask them for help, ask them for the opportunity to come and have a chat with their friends and show them your oils and tell them all about this amazing subject, because your life has been completely changed by these amazing oils and you love sharing them, and you could talk about them all day, and you'd love to just have the opportunity to share them with their friends. And then the key to hosted classes, the biggest key, and you know, I can't stress this enough, because it's the difference between being successful in this area of your business or it becoming something that maybe you think, this isn't for me, it hasn't worked for me. This thing called host coaching, I call it host coaching, you can call it whatever you like, but I call it host coaching. is so important. You should coach your hosts like your business depends on it, because this part of your business will depend on it. Your hosts are really precious, and the way you coach them, the way you support them from the moment they agree to being a host for you up until the end of the class, the way you and the things that you do, and I'm going to go through the structure of that, will just make the difference. It will just be the difference between success and something that you consider that you haven't been successful at. I hate use the word failure, but you get where I'm going. So host coaching. So once somebody has booked a hosted class with you, make time to visit with them. The very best thing is always for that visit to be physical. You go to home or you meet them in a coffee shop. I appreciate that that's another investment of time, but I can tell you, in all the years that I've done this, and I've done some studying and I've done classes without host coaching, and I remember doing it once where I said, right, for a whole month, I'm not going to host coach because I really want to understand if this investment of my time has been worth it. So for a whole month, no host coaching, just booking the classes and then dropping a note through, you know, just to say I'm looking forward to come in, but no more than that, no coaching. The attendance could be as much as 80% lower at the class, and the results as an effect of that was as much as 80% lower than the classes that were coached properly. So if you think about it like that, my goodness, what a great investment it is of your time to spend time to actually go and visit and do this properly. Of course, you could do it on Zoom as well, but as I say, the visit is the most effective. If you do it on Zoom, then at least you're still getting a face-to-face. That's certainly better than if the only thing you have at your ability to do is have a call. Then I'd still go for a Zoom over a call, but I'd always go for a visit if I could. So I would take with me a keychain, or better still, your host probably already has a keychain. And I'm going to be talking about this because at the class, what I do is I offer a keychain, and this is something that Elise Shedevy does as well. So I offer a keychain to anybody that books a class with me and say to them, when I come to your class, I'm going to allow you to fill that keychain up. For every guest that attends your class, you're going to be able to fill one of these little vials up with a selection of oils. Now, of course, you don't have to put rows in the oils that they can choose from. You can have a little box that they can choose from. So what I would then do is when I go to my host coaching, I would have the oils with me that I am allowing them to choose from. So I'd have them in like the little wooden oil box, and I'd actually say to them, do you remember when you booked your class, I gave you a keychain? Or if I haven't, I'd actually give them the keychain there and then and say, here's a keychain I'd like you to take, because every person that attends your class, I am going to allow you to fill each of these vials with an oil from this box. Let's just have a look which oils you might like to fill your keychain with. So what I'm doing is I'm setting their expectation in their own mind when they're going through their oils. They go, oh, amazing, balance is in here. I wanted balance. Oh, amazing, serenity's in here. And while you're getting that sort of reaction from them at the class, at the coaching session, either make a mental note if you've got a good memory, or just try and just jot it down as they're mentioning which oils they would like to fill their keychain in with, because you can remind them again later on, you know, I'm really, really looking forward to your class, and don't forget we're going to get that keychain filled because I know you're excited about getting your balance and getting your serenity. So you're keeping that idea going so that they're doing a good job, because they're, you know, it's their job to get the people there that are going to be interested in listening to what you have to say, and so you're giving them the incentive through the keychain. Okay, then give them some ideas of who to invite. You don't really just want anybody at the class, because of course you're looking for people that are going to be interested in what you have to tell them. So start up a conversation. So who are you thinking of inviting that you think is going to be really excited and open to pure and natural essential oils? Now, what we're doing here is, rather than doing lots of sampling, and you can sample, and there, you know, there's no reason that you can't sample people that your hosts are inviting. But if you can, through your host, get them to invite people that are already open to essential oils, then you can actually do lots of the sampling at the class without having to do lots of sampling. I don't sample every single person that is invited to a hosted class, but that isn't to say other people don't, and they don't, you know, they get similarly good results. But what I try to do is make sure that my hosts are selecting people that are going to be really open and engaged in what I have to say, to bring them to the class and sample them at the class. I then want to get my host thinking about who is going to be the next classes that are going to book from her class. Now, it's going to be the host, it's going to be much easier for the host to get her friends to book a future class with me than it's going to be for me to get her friends to book a class with me. So if you would like, and this can work really well, you can give an incentive to your host to get 2 of her people, 2 of her friends that are coming to the class, to book a future class with me. So just think about that. How wonderful would it be if you had committed to, say, doing 4 classes a month, and you did 4, and from those 4 you booked 2 at each. You've now got 8 a month without actually speaking to anybody else, because your actual classes are creating the next group of classes, rather than you having to keep going out and asking, you know, people that you know all the time. You're actually meeting new people at your classes. So it really is worth it to you to give a little incentive, maybe of an oil. It could even be something as valuable as an oil book. If you are giving something valuable, I would suggest you give it once the 2 classes have held, rather than, you know, when they've just booked. Once you know they've held and they've been successful, you can always put a little underpin it by saying, you know, as long as they are, you know, you've got both have got 2 enrollments or something, so that it covers, makes sure it always covers your costs. So I would ask my host to help me with this. So I put a little incentive on for you. I hope you don't mind, but it would be really great to help me expand my business and help you expand your oil collection if 2 people that come to your class were to book their own classes, then I would be able to help you get this particular oil. It may be that they've got really excited about one of the sample oils that they're going to add to their keychain, and at this point you can just drop in. Once two of your people have held their own class, I'll upgrade that keychain oil for a full 15 ml bottle. So here's the thing. If you can just find or ask a couple of those people to consider holding a class before I get there, and then you've sort of got them ready, you've warmed them up, and your host has done a lot of the work for you. So imagine the scene, right? You get to your class, and because you have done this foundation work with your host at the coaching, you just say to your host, oh, did you manage to ask a couple of your friends if they'd be interested in holding their own class? So obviously I can give you that upgrade, that oil upgrade. And they say, oh yes, Jane's going to hold one, and Mag haven't even started your class yet, and you've just replaced the one that you're about to hold and doubled it with 2 bookings. So that's amazing. So then the next thing we want to do is also ask your host, encourage them to encourage other people. So when you speak to people at the class about holding their own class, just ask the host, when you hear me doing that, if you can encourage people, say you'll come along, because that obviously that will just make people feel a little bit more less worried that if they're going to have your support to book their own class. Make sure the host keeps refreshments simple. I don't know if there's anyone on the call here that has done a hosted class where the host has gone all elaborate and they've got out all their food they've been baking for a week for the class, and it all just looks too difficult. And it's great for the people that are there and they've made this big party, but for people that are looking to potentially hold their own class, it just looks too difficult. Like, I don't have the time, or I couldn't afford to do this, or I don't have this amount of friends. That's always a problem when a class has a lot of people, and you can't actually deal with a lot of people. So it's actually a good thing if our classes are around sort of 6 and 8, so that people can see that it's something that they can duplicate. That said, don't ever say to a host, oh, I only want 6 people, because she'll only invite 6 and then you'll only get 2. So encourage her to invite more than that, but tell her not to worry too much. 6 to 8 is a good number at the point where everyone is confirmed. Just talk to her about, does she have any sort of small glasses and a jug of water, because you're probably going to be needing that for your class. If she doesn't have that, then that's something you can think about taking along with you. I always find that helpful for the class. Talk about the theme, what she would like you to talk about. I always encourage hosts to choose the intro class, because quite frankly, if there's anybody there for the first time, and normally that there is going to be at least one person there for the first time, then you owe it to that person to be doing the introductory class. So I would always encourage that. If they want a certain theme, then find a way of doing the introductory class and sort of tying a theme into it. And then don't leave the host coaching session without dropping the seed about the opportunity. This is one of the best places for you to find your future builders. Certainly sharers, the likelihood is they're probably already a customer because they have booked, they've probably booked from another class, or they may not have done. They may be a friend and it's their first exposure to doTERRA. Whatever, please drop the seed. You know, you're looking for people to join your team that might be interested in the opportunity to share yours in the way that you do with others and create an income opportunity to substitute or add to their income. Obviously, gauge their interest. What happens 9 times out of 10 if you get some interest, it's yeah, I'll have a think about that. And so again, make a mental note or make a note in your diary. This is something that you need to follow up on, but of course you've got the class to follow up on that seed that you've set. Keep the mindset of you're never through till you've dated 2. This is actually once you actually get to the class, you really want to try and be thinking every class you do, I want to be to book in another 2 classes from those classes. So obviously you do all the normal sort of follow-up and reminders, looking forward to your class for your host, and then arrive to do the class before people arrive. Remember to ask her about the couple of things that you asked her to think about at the coaching. What were those couple of things that you asked her to think about? Her or him, of course. Okay, so you asked her to think about who could be your future bookings. Who was she inviting? Remember I told you that once 2 people have booked and held their own classes, I'm going to be giving you whatever it was you told them. So remind them about that, bring it back up. You know, the very best situation, as I've said, is when they say, oh, I've already got 2. But if they haven't, just remind them to help you talk to people after the class about people holding their own class. And then also, again, that seed that you set about the opportunity, did you think any more about that? And because you may be able to just weave it in during the evening if they're still thinking, oh yeah, that is something I'm interested in, let me see how it goes. As other people are starting to show interest, then you can sort of weave in that your host is thinking about maybe joining the business, and you'll get to gauge whether that's something appropriate to say as the class is going through. So in preparation for the class, I just want to go a few things that I'm doing and using and finding really helpful that might be helpful to you. I'm sure some of you on the call are already doing these things, or you have your own way, and that's absolutely fine. There's no reason to change it if it's successful for you. But if you're not too sure about how to go about doing the class, this is what I'm doing. So I use a series of handouts. I've got them here on a board, and I'm going to go through them with you. The first one that I give everyone, I actually use these clipboards, just pick them up really cheap from stationers, just so they're nice and easy for people to have on their lap and they can write on. And on the board, in this order, on the front of the board, they all get an A to Z card, which I'm sure most of you have seen these. You can get them from centraloilsupplies.co.uk. Really quite cheap, so I let people actually have these to take away with them. So they've got the A to Z and the conditions, how to use, and the dilution safety. And I like these because at a class, people then before you even start talking, because I hand the boards out as people arrive, before you even start talking, people are already going through and they go, oh, actually, I need that. Yes, I've got fibromyalgia, or I suffer with headaches, or whatever it is. And so they're already interested to listen to you because they've been reading that. I'll go through the other handouts in a moment because I've got them on screen for you to look at. I also take with me pens. I take books. I love the Oil Magic book that Viv went through on Nathan and Rebecca's call the other week. I think some of you were on that. That's my favourite book. I actually take both the family essentials and the home essentials. If you haven't got both of them, don't worry about it. It's not absolutely necessary. I just find when I come to the part where I talk about, first of all, I talk about the family essentials, and then I talk about how you upgrade it to the home essentials and how much better value that is, because you're now getting the 15 mils instead of these small 5 mils, and the diffuser and the saving. And I just find it easier to talk about it having the two to compare. But as I say, if you haven't got them both, you can still do it with one or the other. I take a wooden oil case with a few extra oils, just the obvious extra ones, sort of like Balance, Wild Orange, Serenity. You don't need to have all of them, but just sort of a few extra ones, anything that you've got. And I don't normally put them out, I just have them there. I think, you know, you want to make yourself as duplicable as possible, so you don't want like to surround them with all of the oils. So I just keep it to the 10. And then I just have my oil box sort of like something else and I take it out, but I sort of focus it on the 10. Then I have fractionated coconut oil and my veggie caps. Okay, so then the other handouts that I have on the board, so the A to Z comes first on the top, and then the top sheet is a class sheet, and this is basically put together from the online presentation that I'm sure all of you have seen and done, but it's just been put onto a 2-page sheet and just goes through what the oils are, the 10 oils, the makeover medicine cabinet, how cost effective the oils are, the lifelong vitality, and the loyalty rewards program. If you want this, if you've not already been into the Very Essence download site, there's a tab in there called classes, and in there this is all downloadable. So I'll put on the Very Essence group, I'll put a link into that later. If you haven't been in there, you can just download this and have it. You can either print it double-sided, or you can get a copy of shop to print it quite cheaply. Then the second handout I have is the order form. This is just something I've put together just to make it, first of all, put it all on one sheet of paper, just to make it nice and easy. Most of the order forms on there, there's a little bit missing on the bottom, but it's stuff that people don't normally order at a class, but it was more important to sort of like have it all on a double sheet. And what I've done is, I've put the little enrolment information that we need on the top, and with the 3 kits with the enrolment box. And then I've put, you can see two little places there that people can tick. And I actually present the order form at the class, so I'll tell you about how I do that in a moment. But you'll see there it talks about they can tick, say if they're interested in having a class of their own in their home, or if they're interested in more information about doTERRA to share the products with others. I've also put on a little section on the right hand side for them to add their order up. So it actually it works as like an order form. So it's got the P&P on it, it's got the product amount, it's got the PV amount, if that's important. If there's a PV promotion on, they need to add that up, and then the total. So you've got everything that you need on that order form. So you've got the A to Z, you've then got the class sheet, you've then got the order form, and then the final document I have is the feedback form. And I always use a feedback form at the class, because I want to make sure that I get everybody's information regardless of whether they order or not, because I want to put them into my database. And so I always do a draw to collect these back up, to get them filled in. And I normally just use like a 5 ml wild orange, so it's nice and cheap, and get everybody's details. And again, on there's the boxes for them to tick if they're interested in hosting a class, or if interested in learning about the business side. So you've got 2 bites at the cherry there. And then at the close, as I say, I present the order form. So this order form's a really vital part of what I do. So when I come to closing the class, I just simply explain. You'll see on the order form, there's 2 different prices. One is the retail price, and the other is the wholesale price. And the difference between the 2 is 25%. And the way which doTERRA works is a bit like Costco. I always use Costco as the example. You pay a membership of £24 and you get 25% off for the whole year. So if you're going to buy more than 2-3 items, then it makes it worthwhile. And then I launch into, or the very best way, one of our mini offsets, and you will see there we've got the Family Essentials kit. In here you've got all the 10 oils that I've talked about this evening with a discount, because we actually give you the enrolment included in that set, so you don't pay for the enrolment. And then the very best value set, and the one that I sell the most of, the most popular because of the value, is the Home Essentials kit. And then obviously I talk about how you get 3 times the amount of oil, blah, blah, blah. But then the most important, well, not the most important, but it's really important that, you know, but at that point, what you've done, you know, you've done the class, you've sort of like can't do a lot more about that class, but you can actually do a lot more about the future classes. So it's really, really important that then you spend some time on these 2 items on the order form. So at that point, I point those out. You know, if you've enjoyed the class tonight, I would love to come along and do exactly the same with you and your friends. Hopefully you've sat there thinking about people that would benefit from the information I've shared with you this evening, your friends or your family, and I can come along and do a free class for you and your friends. Plus, you can actually get some free oils as well. And that's when I'd have the keychain and say, anybody that books the class takes this keychain, and for everyone that comes along, you get the chance to fill that that little vial up. So if you have 8 people at your class, you'll end up with a keychain with 8 oils at the end of your class. And people, you know, really love that. And then also point out that, you know, if anyone's interested in doing what you do, you'd love to share with them the information about how they also could become an advocate with doTERRA. And there's a great business opportunity, income opportunity there. So point out the circles, the keyring. Then do ask everyone individually. Sometimes, you know, when you say these things in a group, people think you're speaking to everyone else and not them. So when you go around and talk to people, as you're going to do, helping them with their orders, you know, where are they going? How can you help them? Is there any questions that they have in follow-up? Then also point out the circles again to them. Were you interested in ticking one of the circles and taking a keyring home with you tonight? Okay. So I hope that I haven't got my chat on, so I just want to have a look if there's any questions in the chat before I go on to my last slide. Can't get my chat on. Can somebody tell me if there's any questions on the slides? For some reason I can't. My chat won't.
Lisa, can you hear me?
Thank you. Yeah, is there any questions for me to answer? I can't see the chat.
Yeah, just there was one. Janet just asked, how long are your classes?
Okay, so my actual part where I talk probably lasts about 40 minutes if I'm not interrupted. Like if it sometimes it can be longer if there's lots of questions as we go along. But if it is sort of like pretty much sort of me talking and sharing the oils, then it's around about that. And then probably the same amount again added on to that, sort of for talking to people individually at the end. So it probably, in all, it's about 2 hours.
Okay, and
I managed to get my chat up now, actually, so.
We'll just put one more question. Have you found weekends work better than evenings?
The very best night for me, I find, is Friday night. That's a big night. And actually, I do actually find more and more people now are looking at classes as being sort of something that people do sort of the weekend as a social thing. So yeah, I'd probably sort of Friday, Saturday day. I've done Sunday evenings. I do some. I would do weeknights as well. I'd do it any night really. I would not turn a class away. But people sort of seem to like the over the weekends now as an option. What you tend to find is whatever a group starts out at is what other people follow with. So, you know, if you have a host that has a weekend, then people see that as the thing to do. So they ask for a weekend. If you have a host that has a morning week, then, you know, people are booking mornings in the week. So you can sort of lead it the way you want it to be as well. So the little point actually that I forgot to mention is don't let your classes get booked too far in advance. So don't lose control of the bookings. So if you get somebody to the point that says, yeah, okay, I think I'd love to have a class, don't breathe the sort of put the sort of death to the booking by saying, okay, when would you like it? That's absolutely the worst thing that you could say, because what they'll answer is, oh, okay, well, I'm going on holiday next month, and the month after, well, May might be good. And before you know where you are, you know, you've lost, you can't book backwards. When you get to May, you can only book forwards. You want them close in. So what I would do at that point, when somebody says yes, I'd say, okay, right, let's have a look. I could actually do you next Friday or the Thursday the following week. So you're actually taking control of your diary, and a week's time sounds like too soon, but now because you offered a week away, 2 weeks feels like ages away, if that makes sense. So just keep sort of control of your bookings.
Pauline was asking as well, can the keychains be bought on the doTERRA site? Yes,
they're £6.50. There's no PV on them, but they're £6.50. They're actually cheaper from doTERRA, I believe, than Essential Oil Supplies. I think Essential Oil Supplies do sell them, but I think they're £1 more with them.
Okay. Okay, I think that's all the questions.
Okay. So I have a question. Who is really interested in giving this a go and doing some hosted classes? Can you just put me in the chat? If nobody says me, I think, hey.
You got one.
I've got two, three, three and counting. I know a lot of you are already doing them as well. Great, brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Because I thought what we would be really good to do this week is to have a concerted effort at doing sort of some booking of hosted classes as a group, and just sort of like spurring each other on and congratulating each other as you get a booking for a hosted class. So I'm going to do a little post in the TVE group, and Andy, maybe you can do the same in the elite group.
Yep.
And if once you book a hosted class into your diary, if in then the comments of that post you just put the name of the host and the date you've booked it into your diary for, and then I thought next week we can have some prizes and some draws from all of you.
Next week, remember, we've got Nathan and Rebecca's class.
Oh yeah, and the next week that we're on. Yeah, the next week that we're on. Actually, why don't we do it for 2 weeks then, Andy?
Okay.
We'll keep the comments open for 2 weeks. Every time that you make a booking, just put the name of the host and the date in, and then we'll have some draws going on. The more bookings, the more prizes there'll be. How's that for a deal?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, brilliant.
Okay. Are we done, or do you want me to just round off, or?
I'm done. I don't know if you've got anything else, Andy.
All I was going to say is obviously to make sure that they remember that, of course, this Saturday is end of month.
Oh my goodness, where's it going? Is that the end of February? It's
ridiculous, isn't it? So make sure all of your orders are in for ranking purposes by midnight. It is true you do get a few hours longer because obviously Utah time and UK time if you're here in the UK, but make sure you're in by midnight anyway. And as I've just said, we're not here next week. We've got Nathan and Rebecca that are on, and that's at 8:30 p.m. next Monday at silverblossomwebinar.com. That's for their once a month webinar, just for those of you who don't know that they're actually our sponsors. And also we're back on the 9th of March at tveglobalwebinar.com. So make sure that you are back here with us all then. So, and
Andy, just before you go, can I just say two quick last things? Sorry, first of all, on the screen there, if you're not sure how to approach people, you could use these words, just something like I've been given a challenge to book X hosted classes. You can put whatever number in there. Will you help me out by getting a few friends together in the next couple of weeks for me to teach and sample the essential oils too? So you can actually use the fact that we're doing this challenge to phone a few people up. So I forgot to mention that. And one last thing as well from me, on the doTERRAeveryday.eu site, do go on and check out the tour dates. They're all up there now, and I know some of you are booked in, but there's loads of tours going on now in the next few weeks around the country, so I think they'll be worth going to.
Yeah, we need to get those posted on the group, won't we?
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. All right, brilliant. Thanks very much, everybody. Have a fantastic week. Like I said, remember Saturday, midnight. Make sure everything's in by that time. So have a great week, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you. Night.